Right, we're going to do accessible abdominal strengthening exercises. You do not need to be thin or already strong or already shredded in order to strengthen your abdominal muscles. And in fact, you should be strengthening them for several reasons. It makes for healthier aging and it makes you feel well. You do not need a flat stomach. You do not need a six-pack. These are not prerequisites of being strong and limber and enjoying movement. Good, strong core and abdomen will stabilize your body and keep you feeling healthy and well through life. And your strength will fluctuate over time. That's totally fine. So before we start, quick primer on the difference between core and abdominal muscles. Your core runs from your knees all the way up to your shoulders. These are all stabilizing muscles. They are very important. They include the back of the body and the front of the body, muscles that wrap around the spine, pelvic floor, the whole shebang, rib cage, the lot. Abdominal muscles, they're fairly complicated. There's lots of layers, but the ones that are most important to most people is the rectus abdominis, which is the front of the body. When you think about six packs and flat stomachs, that's what people are thinking about. And the obliques, which is the side of the body. And then there are deeper layers. You've got the internal obliques. I think there's 4 or 5 layers. The other layer of muscles that are very important for everybody is the intercostal muscles. And they are the ones that wrap around the rib cage in a sort of a zigzagging formation. And they expand and contract as you breathe. So whenever you do abdominal breathing, take deep breaths so you can feel your rib cage move. You're using your intercostal muscles. So just lying around and breathing, you are strengthening your core. You're strengthening your abdominal muscles, really deep ones, the ones that help you not fall to pieces on the inside. So we're going to spend the whole time lying down. All of these exercises can be layered up. Stick with the one that you find easiest to do, and the more reps you do, eventually you'll start to feel the heat. We are dealing in internal tonal muscles as well as the rectus abdominis, these from the waist down, mostly lower abdomen in this case, which is good because that's what most people struggle to access. So lie down. You're going to be really comfortable. Upper body needs to be really relaxed. So it's nice, isn't it, when you're going to feel the burn, start by feeling comfortable, and then you have plenty of distance to travel. So I like to have a cushion under my head. We want everything from the waist up to be really chill and relaxed because all of the work is coming from the waist down. So lie down. I'll put a cushion under my head so that I don't have to think about alignment of my spine so much. So I'm lying on my back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. You can have your feet as wide as you want, just be comfortable. Your chin needs to be drawing inwards and upwards. And upper body is just really soft and relaxed. You can take your arms out a little wide if you want to, because then you'll feel your shoulders soften down. We're not going to introduce any strain into any other part of the body. The nice thing about these exercises is that you access those muscles. You need to be able to feel them, and then you can make sure you're using the right muscle groups. So we're not recruiting any other muscle groups in the process of strengthening the abdomen, which is nice because it makes it much harder when you're trying to use your upper body as well. Okay, so press into your feet, just pick up your hips a little bit and allow your tailbone to curl naturally under, and then roll the lower spine, lower back, down again, and you should feel your lumbar arch, the small of your back, just slightly soften down into the ground. And you need to keep that softening down. Anytime you feel like the arch is getting a bit deep, stop, rearrange yourself, pick up your hips, roll your tailbone under, and soften that arch back down. And all we're going to do, we're going to start by warming up the internal tonal muscles, starting with pelvic floor. And this is going to involve a bit of thighs, a little bit more work. So this is more core, less abdomen, a little bit of abdomen. So we're working with the breath to start with. No real movement here. Just come to the natural breath. Allow the body to soften down. Don't panic about anything. So just a few nice deep breaths. Try and get a sense of movement running through the whole of the front of the body. Inhaling to expand, exhaling to release. So you really want everything to be quite soft, floppy, whatever, pillowy front of the body, and quite heavy back of the body. And just remembering that you can change your leg position anytime. There should be no strain in the knees. Start to increase the length of that breath. You need nice long breaths to really get the best of this. And all the way through, the in-breath is where you soften and relax, and the out-breath is where you put the effort. So on your next out-breath, start to turn the volume up on your feet. So you're pressing your feet down into the mat. Your tailbone's going to start to curl up a little bit, lower back softens down. You'll feel a little lift in your pelvic floor all the way up to the lower abdomen. Thighs are going to switch on as well. Inhale to fully relax, let everything soften down. So you need to leave the rest of your body nice and liquid. It's just your feet doing the work. You must relax on the inhale. It's not a suggestion, it's a requirement. Exhale, press the feet firmly down into the ground, turning the volume up on the feet. And feel that lift. Start with the point of most sensation, soles of the feet. And feel then the thighs, pelvic floor, lower abdomen. Your body might want to slide up the mat. That would be normal. Inhale to fully relax. And then next time you press your feet down, notice the pelvic floor and gently help it. Use your pelvic floor muscles to pull inwards and upwards. Scoop gently your navel inwards and upwards, and notice how the effort increases in the rest of your body. And then inhale to fully relax. So it's a sweep. We're turning the volume up, we're turning the volume down. As you exhale, volume goes up, feet press down, sweep up through the pelvic floor, lower abdomen. Feel everything. This is internal sensation, so eyes closed is a good idea. This is not external. And then inhale to relax. If you're keeping soft, you'll feel your pelvic bowl will rock, your hips will rock. Let's do a few more of those. So when you do this, all of the muscles rippling up your spine are also starting to wake up. And this makes everything a lot easier. Thighs might be starting to feel a little bit of effort as well. One more. On your next exhale, as you sweep up, continue to breathe, but hold those muscles on so you can identify them. So eyes are closed, breathing probably high in the chest because your lower abdomen is constricted. Just notice the feeling of effort in your pelvic floor, in your lower abdomen, that feeling of engagement, possibly running up the spine. Not everybody can feel it straight away, but with time you will. There's a lot of effort going through the legs. And then when you inhale, you can fully relax. And if there's any tension that's coming to the body, you'll bring the knees in towards the chest and have a little rock and roll. So that is your first layer. If you were to do that every day for 6, 10, 20 breaths, you will notice a significant change in your abdominal and pelvic floor tone. So tone means the ability to turn on and off. I'm not worried, as I say, about always having everything switched on really firmly. When we're working with internal muscles, we want tonal strength, which means that those reflexive muscles can turn on and turn off as they're needed. It reduces your risk of injury and also unexpected surprises when you sneeze. So as you age, everyone benefits from that. If you happen to be a man and you seem to think that you don't have a pelvic floor, all mammals have pelvic floors. So Google it. All men have pelvic floors. It is very important for both men and women, and any gender assigned person to any mammal needs to have a good tonally strong pelvic floor. You need to be able to relax it as well as engage it. So Let's start doing some more, you know, a little bit more effort. So I'm going to start with variations that are most accessible and then layer up, layer up, layer up. I'll tell you about how to make them harder. You choose the exercises that suit you best and you stick with those and you do your reps. You will feel the burn. So once again, we just need to make sure that that lower back is softened down. So pick up the hips, roll the lower back down, tailbone under, shoulders fully relaxed. I would just close your eyes. This is all fairly simple stuff you can watch to start with and then you'll know. So we're going to keep the left leg bent with the foot flat on the floor. Hands are going to turn down for a little bit of anchoring. And then keeping the right foot, right leg bent. On an inhale, bring the knee in towards the chest, but keep that bend in an L shape. And then as you exhale, pull your belly down towards the ground, pin your lower back down, exhale to very slowly lower the leg down to the ground. So this is why, if your breaths are nice and long, you're going to work harder. And then just keep doing that. So that's your first variation. If you're new to this, if you feel your abdomen is really, really in need of a lot of strengthening, this is your starting point. This might also be better for you if you have any kind of knee injury or leg injury that you're working with. I promise you, if you do enough reps of this, even if it feels really easy, you will feel it, you will. So think about what we're doing. We're using the leg as a weight and we're lifting and lowering that leg with the muscles around the lower abdomen and the hips. We're not straining the shoulders at all. We're not recruiting the back muscles. We're not using the arms. So everything is coming from the leg, the hips, the lower abdomen. Okay. If you want to make this a little firmer, bring the knee in, lengthen the leg, point the toe, exhale, lower down slowly. So what we're doing, we're making the leg even heavier. It's the law of levers. The leg is very long. It's like trying to dig a garden with a shovel, but only holding onto the handle at the very end. Inhale, draw the knee in towards the chest. Make sure the toe stays pointed, makes it harder. You can flex the foot to soften it off. Exhale, pull the navel down and lower. Lower, 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 slowly. So that is your next layer. I'm going to do one more of these. You do as many of each of these as you need to. You can make a little note and you'll be there, you'll be fine. Next variation. Lengthen out the opposite leg and then lower with a straight leg. Now you may not be able to go all the way down. That's okay. Inhale, knee to chest, lengthen the leg. Exhale, pin your abdomen to the ground. Try not to let your lower back lift. You might only go halfway, or you might decide to float that leg and not go the whole way. That's even harder. Knee to chest, lengthen and lower. I can feel my abdomen switching on. You might start to feel shaking. That's all right, shaking's allowed. And there is one more challenging variation. And I don't really like this. It brings too much strain to my lower back, but you can keep the leg straight. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. I actually feel like there is no point. You need to relax your muscles as you inhale. It's going to give you a little bit of a reprieve as you build. And all of these movements, you adjust to your needs. So if you're feeling any pain, any discomfort, soften it off, make the movement smaller, more appropriate. You might not even go all the way down to the floor. You might just do halfway and then into the chest. Lengthen, halfway. I can feel my thighs starting to burn. Okay, so those are your three options. Variations on legs bent, legs lengthened. If you did all of those, even just 3 or 4 reps that we did, you should be starting to feel a little warmth building. Let's do the other side and see where we get to. There's quite a few of these to play with, so we don't want to overcook any of them. Knees are bent again, just checking the lower back's pressing down, upper back's still nice and relaxed. Anytime you need a breather, knees to chest, rock and roll, maybe even take them out wide. That'll feel good. That'll release some tension. You can get back to it. The heat will stay. Okay, knees bent. Left leg, knee to chest. Exhale, pull the belly in, engage your pelvic floor, and lower down. You can press lightly into the grounded foot if it helps. Inhale, knee to chest. Exhale, lower down. The slower you go, the harder you work. The faster you go, the more reps you'll need to do. So nobody loses. It's just choosing your mood. Sometimes working very slowly feels good. Sometimes you need to go more quickly. Because I teach yoga, my default is to go slower than most gym instructors move, or personal trainers. Even the people I know who are gym instructors who are yoga teachers as well tend to move a little bit faster. As long as you're working on the exhale, you're engaging, you can feel the abs starting to switch on. If you can't feel the abs starting to switch on, you need to ramp up the next layer. So knee to chest, lengthen up, point the toes, exhale, lower down. You can keep your eyes closed so you can really feel your abs switching on. You can firm your lower abdomen as well. You can scoop. Only on the exhale. Remember the inhale. You're just going to chill, soften everything, let it become floppy. Just start to enjoy the contrast between soft belly, firm belly. They are both lovely, lovely things. There's nothing wrong with a soft belly. It's a nice thing. There's nothing wrong with a firm belly. We are only interested in internal strength. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether you're curvy, whether you're round, whether you're skinny. Doesn't make any difference at all to your strength. There are many, many people who are very, very curvy, round, beautiful, fuller bodies, who are extremely strong. And there are many people who look on the outside very slender, very flat, but they do not have strength. So what we want is strength, and that is all. Aesthetics more important. Next variation, leg stays long. Slowly, 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 I'm pinning my abdomen down. I can feel it. I can feel actually the effort starts lower down, and for me it builds further up, but for you it might work differently. Thighs starting to warm up. And then if you want to layer up one more time, lengthen out the other leg. Exhale, pull the belly in, scoop it in, and lower down. You're using your leg as a weight, and that weight is being wielded by your abdominal muscles and your thighs. We've all got strong thighs, so you will feel your thighs working first. You must make an effort to connect with these muscles at the front of the body, feeling firmed up. Okay, I'm just going to do one more of these. So these are the leg lifts. Everybody in all of my classes gets on well with the leg lifts because they can choose the one that they like to use and stay with that. Let's bend the knees again, hug them in, have a little rock and roll, or you can just leave them free for a rock and roll. And you can go wide. If you need more space for your body, you can take those legs wide. They don't have to be, you don't have to compress the front of your body. It's not necessary. You can go wide. You can keep the legs further away. Whatever you do is going to make this feel better. Okay, so next set of movements. We will take the legs up in the air. And roughly a straight line. We're going to have the legs together. It's easier if the legs are together. Point the toes and bring the hands down so that they're anchoring you a bit. So palms are down. Point the toes. We do some little circles. Doesn't matter which direction, just pick a direction. Do 3 or 4 in one direction and then switch. Try and control that switch. So these circles are controlled. They might start out a little floppy, but as you feel your abdomen switch on, you can control them. This is it. This is all we do. If you want to make it harder, which you might, take your legs further away and do it like that. And you will immediately feel everything firm up. Don't go too far to the ground because you will strain your lower back. So probably the furthest is going to be about there. Never lower both legs to the ground while they're lengthened. It's too much strain on your lower back. A lot of people can do it. It doesn't mean it's a good thing to do. A lot of people can do a lot of things. Doesn't mean it's a good thing to do. So all I'm doing is making these little circles with my toes. 3 or 4. You're probably feeling it by now, unless you're already rock hard. You can do more of these if you want to, but we've got more to do. So you keep a little bend in the knees if you're finding that your hamstrings are playing up. So that's enough of those. I'm going to finish off my last set. And then bring the knees to the chest, have a little release. A little bit of a release. Abdomen is feeling warmer now, and I can actually feel the whole of my abdomen right up to the top of the rib cage, well, the middle of the rib cage there. Little rock. Next variation. Arms out wide. So these are all legs in the air. We're going to cross the legs. So just like a little ballerina, crossing the legs, away from the body, and then back up. See, the toes pointed makes it harder. Working away on the exhale. Just, you have to remember to breathe through all of these because the breathing is a really important part of strengthening. Working down, you can work down as far as you want. Again, don't go too far because your lower back will start to strain, and we want to keep this in the abdomen. We don't want any strain in the lower back. I don't love these actually, but you can do them as much as you want. You feel like a little ballerina who has been dropped on her back. Can't get up. Okay, I'm just going to do one more up to the top and release. So you do whatever you need. If you're still feeling like nothing's happening, carry on. More repetitions for you. Most of you, this is a great way for warming the abdomen. You might have even finished. You might have had enough. Shaking, aching is fine. Actual pain of any sort, hard pain, that is not fine. Right. I'm just going to check that my lower back is still properly grounded. So feet on the floor, roll the tailbone under, lift the hips a little bit. Lovely. Another set with the legs in the air. Okay, so these are like little scissor movements with the legs. And we are exhaling to take one leg away. Inhaling to come back up. Exhaling other leg. Inhaling up. You've got to keep pinning. It's like you're trying to pull your navel down to the ground. Navel is pushing down. These are quite hard, and the bigger the movement you make, the harder it gets. If this is too easy, same drill, take the legs away from the body. That's much harder. The slower you go, the harder it is. So that's all of those. You can also move both legs, but that's way too, I mean, that is very hard work. You can hear my voice shaking. But my whole body isn't shaking, it's just my abdomen. I can feel the burn. So I know that it's the abdominal muscles that are doing the work. My shoulders are relaxed. Actually, my thighs are not too burny. They're a little bit burny. Last one. And back to center. Have a hug and a roll. Whew. It's a really good way of building heat. It is proof that you don't need to run around in order to feel warm. I'm feeling very warm right now. Have a little rock and roll. Remember, you pick the ones you want, you layer up, you work to an appropriate level. You can challenge yourself a lot as long as you're not straining your back. You can really go in for the sweating, aching, shaking, all of that stuff. You are allowed to with these. The next movement, the last abdominal strengthening movement that we're going to do like this. I think they're called dead bugs. I really like them, actually. I think they're great. See how you get on. It's a combination of several things, and you might just find that it's not for you. So give it a try, see how you go. So legs go in the air, arms go in the air. Some people just don't like this. When you take your legs up, you need to lift your hips a little bit and roll the lower back down, just as we have with all the rest of them. And we're going to exhale to lower down, opposite arm, opposite leg. So as you exhale, point the left toes, take the left leg down and extend the right arm back behind you. Inhale to center, really controlled. Exhale, lower the right leg, extend the right arm. Inhale, keep pressing the navel down. Exhale, left arm, right leg. No, other way around, left leg, right arm. And lift. And the slower you go, the harder you work. You could go faster, that's fine. I think my movements are somewhere in between gym instructor and Pilates instructor. People who do Pilates do everything painfully slowly. It's a bit too slow for me. I haven't quite got the discipline for that. Gym instruction is a little bit too quick for me. I can't feel my abs. I find it much easier to do these exercises when I can feel the burn. I quite like that feeling of working quite hard. Keep breathing. You have to make sure you breathe. Rest when you need to rest. You can always do more. Okay, and quite feel the burn. So I'm going to go right leg, left arm, last side. Inhale to center. Whew. I'm going to roll. These should be feeling pretty good. Hopefully you can feel that warm hug inside the body of your abdominal muscles switched on. So we're not going to just leave it there. We need to release tension. So if you're planning on doing something else strengthening, then you could leave it here and do some stretches after. We're going to do some spinal mobility. We're going to do a little bit of dynamic bridge, really soft, nothing too intense. Some twists, and then some low back strengtheners, just to make sure that the low back is stable. So let's take the arms. We'll just keep them out a little wide. You can go all the way into a T shape if you want, in fact, I might. Let's take the legs out a little bit wider, turn the toes out. So we're going to do yin bridge, a bit more chill. Take cushions away from under your head unless your head tips back a lot. Draw your chin inwards and upwards so the back of your neck is really long. Relax, relax, relax. And on an inhale, start to roll up your spine, starting with the tailbone. Roll the spine up like a string of beads all the way to the shoulders. And then exhale to peel down. Like a string of beads, massaging out the spine and the lower back. Should feel quite nice. Keep the belly soft. Inhale, roll up. Make sure pelvic floor switched off. The abdomen doesn't need to do anything consciously. You can release. If you are a yoga person, you can release your bandhas. You can release Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. No need. You've got Jalandhara Bandha switched on. Chin in towards the chest. But you don't need Ujjayi breath or anything like that. Just breathing freely and normally, peeling your spine up like a string of beads. You will notice that some of those beads will come up 2, 3 at a time. That's fine. Exhale down. Relax, enjoy. Let's just have one more. You can do more if you're enjoying it a lot. All the way up. You can hold for a breath or two if it feels good, but keep it really soft in the belly. And then when you're ready, you can roll all the way back down. Yes, that feels very nice. Let's keep the legs where they are. You can walk them further down the mat if you want. We'll have a few rounds of wipers to release any tension around the hips and the lower back as well. So we'll exhale to take the knees to the right. Inhale to center, exhale to the left. Just roll from side to side. Let your hips roll, let your lower back roll. Keep everything fairly languid. You've done the hard work, it's done. It's done. You can feel fairly smug and you know that it's going to work. You might be a little bit achy if you're new to this. You might be a little bit achy later on tomorrow. And if you ever get the ache from muscular work strengthening, the most important thing you can do is keep moving around, walking around. Don't sit around feeling achy because you'll seize up and ache more. Drink plenty of water, look after yourself. Stay active. So rolling from side to side. This feels nice. We're going to do another twist. So not everybody's going to access this twist in the same way. This one's going to release a little bit of tension further up the abdomen, sort of around the rib cage and midriff if you want. We'll come to center. So you can either bring the knees together with the feet flat on the floor, arms out wide, and then lower the legs over to the right. If this is too tight for you, you'll know because your left shoulder is lifted off the ground. You can just loosen up the legs a little bit. You can even put cushions under your knees. And what we want is a kind of a spiral that runs from the hip that's nearest the floor all the way up to the opposite armpit. This feeling of spiral stretching there. Some of you I know really love this one, and this one will recruit those muscles that you've just woken up. So it's quite nice because you'll just see how those muscles are a little bit awake. So your knees coming towards your chest, both arms out wide. Take your right arm around the outside of your left thigh, and as you exhale, lower. Try and do it in a controlled way. Lower the knees over to the right. Just let them settle there. You can take the arm out wide, both arms out wide again. It's quite a deep little twist. I love it, I love it. And turn your head in the opposite direction. Both shoulders need to be, if not fully on the ground, heading in that direction. So all we're going to do is chill here. Chill, 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 relax. And really soften. Again, for the more experienced yoga people, you will know about variations on this twist that you can do if you want to. It's fine to do them, but we are focused on the twist in the middle of the body. So don't take your attention away from that by thinking about lengthening out legs and creating little knots. This is not what we're doing here. But you're welcome to do those variations if they suit you. So just relaxing, try and relax the thighs. Remember, we use the thighs a lot. So try and relax the thighs, the shoulders, the chest. Breathe, nice, long, soft breaths. Just checking in, is the pelvic floor switched off? Butt cheeks can relax, relax. Stay in any of these twists as long as you want to. You've got two options. If you're really tired, you can walk your feet back to center and go to the twist you like on the other side. If you want to use those muscles that you've just woken up a little bit, you can exhale, pull your navel in, bring the knees back up to center to your chest. Do it slowly, nice and controlled. Be very careful. And then you go over to the other side. So you can have your feet flat on the floor with the knees together and roll the knees over to the left and then tighten or loosen according to your taste. Otherwise, exhale, pull the navel in softly, lower the knees over to the left, nice and controlled. You don't have to use your hand. If you really want to control, you can let go of your hand and just do it, do it without hands, without any help. If you want to turn your head, you can. I don't love turning my head in twists because my neck feels really tight, but you can if you want to. Just relax, let the shoulders soften, relax. This is a great place to scan through the body and find your particular type A muscle groups. And when I say type A, I mean the ones that like to keep working even when it's time to chill. Most people, in my experience, it's the quadriceps, the fronts of the thighs, it's the jaw, it's the face, everything's concentrating. Bum tends to stay switched on. And for people who worry about the shape of their body, quite often they get into the habit of always pulling the belly in. Let your belly become soft like a pillow. And then think about how being soft like a pillow is just a really lovely thing. It's a really lovely thing. So from here, if you've finished, if you've had enough, you can switch off, you can just walk your feet round to center and you're done. You're finished, you've had a few nice breaths. Just make sure you're feeling all right. You can have little knees to chest for a rock and roll. If you want to come onto your front for a few back bends, which will help stretch out the front of the body and also a few back strengtheners, you can roll all the way over. So I'm just going to take my right hand all the way over, use my right hand to press into the floor. And then we're just going to come onto our fronts and do some little back bend. So you can just roll straight onto your front. I'm just going to turn my hair back so it doesn't get in the way. Lie down on your belly. And if you feel like, if this feels really nice and you just want to breathe it here, you can take a break, rest your head on your hands. It can be stacked fists if you tend to get dizzy, or flat hands. Relax your shoulders. And then let your toes point together and your heels flop out to the side. So let's all do this so you at least know what it is, and you can do it anytime in any yoga class. You can do it in my yoga class anytime. And all you're going to do is draw your attention towards your natural breath and try and encourage abdominal breathing so you can feel the lift and lower in your belly and your rib cage. So really soften. We're not doing any hard work here, but you might just find that this feeling of release in the lower back is quite nice. So breathing quite deeply down. Feel your belly inflate because the diaphragm is switching on. And because there's nowhere for your belly to go, your lower back starts to get a massage. As you exhale, relax and you'll feel your lower back sink towards the ground. Inhale to breathe in and inflate. Exhale long and slow. Feel the lower back relax. So you can rest here. This is crocodile pose. It's pretty lovely. If you like lying on your front, it's really nice. If you don't like lying on your front, then you probably find it a bit constricting. So you could just leave this out altogether. It's fine. And some things suit some people and not others. So crocodile pose. And this is also a really nice back bend in itself. So there's a little bit of a bend in the lower back there. It's not huge. And the more you lift your head, so if you stack your fists and put your head on your stacked fist, one potato, two potato, you'll notice there's a little bit of a back bend there, and you just draw your shoulders away from your ears. That's a nice back bend on its own. And it makes a little bit more space. So you can make a bit more space if you find it constricts your breath or is very uncomfortable. Lots of people find this very uncomfortable, especially women. Certain shapes and figures is normal. You could grab a blanket, roll it up, or a cushion, stick it underneath your lower rib cage and bring your forearms to the ground, and you'll be in supported sphinx. So I'll show you, put the cushion underneath the lower rib cage and look how much space I've got now. I've got so much more space. My chest is not in any way constricted, so I can breathe more freely, and this is a very comfortable back bend. And you can just breathe, and it's the same thing. You can breathe deeply into the lower back. This is lovely. So before we do a few back bends, we're not going to be ages. We're just going to do some lower back strengtheners, and your head can stay down. So you can grab a cushion, put your head on a cushion, forehead on a cushion, whatever. But if that's uncomfortable, or if you prefer, you can just bring your forehead down to the ground, bring the hands down by the sides. Clamp your legs together quite firmly. So there's a little bit of work. This is abdominal and lower back. Clamp the legs together, pull the pelvic floor up, scoop the belly in. We're going to exhale to lift both legs a little bit, and inhale to put them down. It's not a big movement. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. You must release on the inhale. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower abdomen scoops up, legs lift. Inhale, relax and lower. Might just be an inch off the ground. We're not back bending, we're back strengthening. I'm just going to do one more. Classically, I failed to count. And then, if you need to rest, rest. It's fine. Next variation, hands behind the ears. And we're just going to do upper body. So you need to lift up a little bit to start with. It's like a crunch on your belly, actually. Legs are going to stay down, but we're going to recruit the same muscle. So exhale, pull the pelvic floor up, abdomen inwards and upwards. Exhale, lift a little bit. This is not your neck or your shoulders. This is all abdomen. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Small movements. I'm not pulling at all. I'm not moving my head. My neck is not working. My shoulders are not working. It's lower back. I'm just going to do one more. These are harder. You can do the legs again and then lower down. Hands down by the sides. And we'll do locust pose. So you could do just the legs, or you can do legs and arms, which shoulders need to draw back and away. So I'm going to lift my head a little bit because my head is quite far off the ground right now. Draw the chin inwards and upwards. As you exhale, pull the pelvic floor up and the abdomen. Lift the arms, press them towards the fingertips. If you're doing arms, you could relax them to the ground. Lift the legs and we hold here. Let's count down. 5. Keep breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, lower down. I'm just going to do one because we've done quite a lot of work. For those who like a little bit of shoulder action, we can do snake. You don't have to do this. You could just rest now. You could do locust pose again or your little leg lifts. If you want to do snake, this is for those who have the shoulder mobility. Weave your fingers together in the small of the back. Roll your shoulders back and down. Squeeze the elbows together. The legs do the same thing again. So as you exhale, pelvic floor, abdomen. Lift the legs. Lengthen the shoulders away. Gazing forward and down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Let's have crocodile for a breath. So if you prefer, you can take your legs out wider. Tops of the feet just softening down into the ground. Head resting on the hands. You could have your toes pointing in with your heels flopping out. I actually prefer this because I can really rest my hips and my lower back. Have a little rock from side to side. If you want to, just massage out lower back a bit there. We've done loads and loads of strengthening work for all those core muscles. From the base of the thighs all the way up to probably the tops of the shoulders for most people, but certainly all the way up through the rib cage. Spine has done plenty of work, and we're just going to do some back bends. We'll layer up a few back bends, nothing very, very intense. I guess that is all relative, to be honest. It might be intense for you. So if you find something is very intense, then don't do it. Stick with the softer variations that you enjoy. So stay here in crocodile. If this is exactly where you need to be, you can stay here and it's enough. So the reason we're going to do these back bends is to stretch out the front of the body because we have really worked it. So we're going to start in Sphinx. Again, you can support your Sphinx by putting a rolled up blanket, a small blanket or a cushion underneath your rib cage, just below the chest. Or you can just bring the forearms under the onto the ground, fingers spread, shoulders, elbows under shoulders, and we need to just draw the shoulders back and down. You really need to feel like you're pressing your chest forward and pressing your lower back down. This, as much as it doesn't look as fancy as the other back bends that we do in yoga, is hard work. And the reason it's hard work is because a lot of people bend like a little corner into their lower back. And you really need to feel that you're making a curve and that the upper back is also pressing forward, which is why the chest is important. Now, I'm feeling all right with it today, but sometimes I feel like there is nothing happening in my upper back. And when that happens, I walk my hands forward and I bring my rib cage down. So my lower back is very supported. And instead, I press my shoulders back and down. And that, I can feel it much more in nearer my upper back. So it's a section of the spine behind the chest. And that feels quite nice, actually. So I'm going to stay here. It's more of a curve and less of a corner in my spine. So back bends are about curving the spine really more than anything. So if this feels good, you could stay here. If you would like to rest, you go back to crocodile. If you feel like you've got room for a little bit more of a back bend, you soften into these. So try and really relax. You can engage your glutes if your lower back is feeling some kind of way, not great. I'm going to come back into Sphinx, a little bit higher. You want to bring yourself into a sort of a nice low cobra. You can keep your hands flat on the floor and pick up your elbows. Keep drawing those shoulders back and down. This is nice. Does it feel all right? If it doesn't feel all right, then you come down. You can lower a little bit, a bit of arm strength there. This is good. Chest forward. Never need to look up. I actually don't, more and more I find that yoga teachers don't do this anymore, but that tradition for hoiking your head up and looking up towards the ceiling, it's not great. It's bad for the back of most people's necks. We do not want to compress the back of the neck. So I tend to gaze forward or draw the chin inwards and up and gaze down. Looking up, it's not amazing. You might just strain yourself and lose the pleasure of the back bend. I hope you're still breathing right now. Exhale, lower down. See how you feel. Have a little rock from side to side. That might just release any tension. And our last back bend is gorgeous seal pose. The legs go out just a little bit wider. Fingers are going to go out, and I like to take my hands out really wide for this. Hands are still in line with my shoulders, my chest. Shoulders draw back and down first. Just gazing at the floor. Press into the hands and uncurl. Open up. Feels so nice. And this is, I'm in the wrong position because my hands are sliding around. So I'm going to go back in. There we go. This is much nicer. Seal pose. Beautiful back bend. And if you're comfortable, you can stay here for a few breaths. If you're not comfortable, you could come down and rest, or you can come up and down a few times just to prime a little bit. So these are the only back bends that we're doing. So you might find it a little easier to lift your chin forward and up in this one, but again, why not just gaze towards the ground ahead of you? It feels really good. Exhale, lower down, and place your hands, tuck your toes, place your hands by your chest, and go into a wide leg child's pose. So it doesn't have to be wide leg, but allow a little space between the knees at least. If you can go wider if you want to. And then soften down, and after all of that work and all of those back bends, you might just feel a party in your lower back. Have a little wiggle. Lots of different variations on child's pose you can do. If you come to my classes, you know them all. Walk your hands over to the right for a side bend, back to center, and then over to the left. Is great. Really, really great little routine. Fully supported by the ground. Focusing in on the muscles that we're using. So while we're resting here and you're breathing and enjoying this moment of release, I'll just remind you, we have worked the tonal muscles, the pelvic floor and the interior tonal muscles in the body. We've worked the abdominal muscles. We have strengthened the lower back. We have mobilized the lower back. We have mobilized the hips, and we have softened and released tension from the waist and the abdomen. And in the process of doing all of that, I'm just going to walk my hands in. In the process of doing all of that, we have really rested the shoulders and the upper back. So that's not even the best of it. The best of it is that you can be really, really smug and self-righteous about the fact that you have started to strengthen, mobilize, and tone. You've done yourself some real well-being work, and it is work that you do because it makes you feel good, not because it makes you look good, because nobody cares. If you feel good, you look great, that's all that matters. So enjoy, do it regularly, do it comfortably, and you'll feel strong, and you'll have that internal hug that gives you security and a feeling of real stability in the body. So I hope that was good. See you later.